If you have any problem, you can discuss, or otherwise we can proceed. So if you remember, in the last class, last class we were talking about a pathology of digestive system, part 1, in which we have covered the pathology of oral cavity, esophagus, and stomach. Today I will try to cover the pathology of intestine particularly. Okay, am I clear? Audible? Can you hear me? So first one is most important part of intestinal pathology is the mechanical obstruction. Mechanical obstruction meaning that the free flow of feed contents is obstructed. So from the stomach, there is problem in passing of the feed content from a small intestine to large intestine, or from the initial part of the small intestine to the later part of the small intestine due to some obstruction. So one important cause can be atresia. Atresia means the opening of the, you know that between the stomach and intestine there is a sphincter, and also between the small intestine and large intestine there is a sphincter. So once a new organ start, so there is a check system which you call as sphincter. Anyhow, either congenital or due to some acquired condition, if this sphincter is potential enough to even stop the required flow of the feed, it will lead to complete obstruction. I mean to say the opening is completely obliterated in case of atresia, and it is usually congenital. Most of the time it is congenital, but it can also be due to some acquired conditions like stenosis. Stenosis caused by some blood hemorrhages, some tumor, abscesses, or some displacement. This is important term, intestinal displacement, which includes torsion, volvulus, interception, hernia, even prolapse. So these are very important terms. We will deal it later. So displacement of intestine, some hemorrhages, some tumor formation can lead to stenosis. Stenosis means hardening and narrowing of the lumen of the intestine is called as stenosis. It can also be due to impaction. Impaction may be by some foreign bodies like bone, particularly in carnivores, stones, hair balls in case of animals having some mineral deficiency. They develop habit of licking hairs. So these hairs, you know, cannot be digested, and gradually they get deposited in the intestine or stomach in the name of hair balls. So a large hair balls or coprolith, lith means a stone. When you hear the term lith as a suffix, it indicates a stone, and copro means fecal material. So some cake-like fecal material almost appearing as like a stone can also lead to impaction. In newborn, the meconium, you know the meconium, the discharges basically that comes from the during the parturition. They are swallowed by the newborns, and that can lead to impaction. Some parasites, particularly in sheep, birds, pigs, and introlith. Introlith, intestine plus stone, and a stone formation in the intestine is called as introliths. Some neoplasm like lipoma, particularly in horses. So these can be some of the causes leading to imperforation or atresia of the intestine. So what after atresia occurs? So if there is complete obstruction, it will cause weak peristaltic movement. So peristalsis is necessary for the proper movement of the feed contents. So if there is incomplete peristalsis movement, it will lead to dehydration of the contents at that place. I mean to say the water material will move onward, but the solid, yeah, semi-solid material will be retained there. So that material will become dehydrated. Since the water escapes from any small narrow spaces also, but the solid and the semi-solid materials get deposited. So it will lead to dehydration and further impaction of that place. A spasm with violent contraction of the gut. I mean to say it will lead to intense pain. Abdominal pain is better called as colic. So due to obstruction, it will lead to pain. And if the obstruction is very severe and the irritation is very severe, it can even lead to rupture of the intestine. One case we have seen in the zoo of a zebra. So the zebra was having three introliths in its intestine, and finally he collapsed. And during the postmortem, we have recovered three stones. One stone was even, I think it was about 8 inch in diameter. So if a introlith about 8 to 10 inch of diameter and the weight of it, it was weighing about 1.5 kg. So such a big stone formation in the intestine naturally is going to cause complete obstruction. And with time, the area above the obstruction will get impacted. Even the opportunistic bacteria will start saccharolytic properties in formation of gas. So due to increased gas formation due to impaction, it put pressure on the diaphragm, resulting in labored breathing, and even it can lead to rupture of the diaphragm, rupture of the intestine, and finally death. So only remedy for this is the surgical condition. This is particularly a surgical condition. So in this diagram, you can see it is an illustrative diagram to show you. So in this diagram, you can see this is a stomach, and this green one is the small intestine. This blue one is the large intestine. So in between the stomach and intestine, or in between the different parts of the intestine, say for example, duodenum, ileum, jejunum, there can be area which is highly closed. So this point, you can see in this point, the normal lumen of the intestine is about this diameter, but at this point you can see it is almost obliterated. So it is a, it can, maybe congenital or acquired, but it is a case of atresia or imperforation of the intestine. Okay, so if it is obliterated here, all the feed materials will be accumulated in the stomach and the upper part of that obstruction, and it will lead to impaction, dilatation, severe gas formation, abdominal colic, and with time it may rupture. So these are the consequences of atresia or imperformation of the intestine. So in that case, very natural. If there is severe obstruction, vomiting will be seen. Very, uh, very common finding. The animal will show vomiting, and at the place of obstruction, it will be distended. The contents, due to dehydration, will become hard, and this hard content will put pressure on the mucous membrane, leading to erosion, ulcers, necrosis, and finally fibrosis, causing hardening that is called as stenosis. So the consequences will be the rupture and thereafter formation of peritonitis. That is, the feed material will come into the peritoneum, leading to inflammation of the peritoneum, leading to septicemia and finally septicemia or toxemia, and finally shock, and the animal will die. So it is very adverse condition. Next to it, an important uh, topic is torsion. So as I've told you, these are parts of displacement of the intestine. So one is torsion. What is torsion? Torsion is the twisting of intestine on its own axis. Simply think like you are twisting a rope. You are catching the rope at its two ends and simply twisting on its axis. जैसे कि कपड़ा सुखाने के लिए छत पे करते हैं ना, एक एंड से पकड़ता है कोई और, दूसरे एंड से कोई और पकड़ता है, उसको ट्विस्ट करते हैं, तो दैट इज यूजुअली कॉल्ड एज that is called as twisting. So twisting of intestine on its own axis is called as torsion. ठीक है? Torsion usually occur in a small intestine because they have large mesenteric attachment. So they are loosely attached with the mesentery, and it is particularly seen in the horse. Since the right colon is fixed by ligaments, so torsion too can be seen in the horse very frequently. And after horse, it is the cattle where the torsion of cecum is common. So in horses, remember torsion of colon, and in cattle, torsion of cecum is more common. Other than horse and cattle, it is rarely seen in other animals. Regarding pathogenesis, it will lead to congestion, edema, hemorrhage, gangrene. Simple. As with any mechanical obstruction, it is also a type of obstruction. The displacement finally will lead to obstruction of the free flow of feed contents. So the pathogenesis and the sequelae will be almost the same as we have seen in the mechanical obstruction. So remember, torsion is twisting of intestine on its own axis. एकदम straight कोई चीज हो, उसको दोनों एंड से पकड़ के आपने ट्विस्ट कर दिया, तो इट विल लीड टू टॉर्सन. उसका एक एरिया कहीं पे नॉट सा बन जाएगा और वहां से फीड मटेरियल बहुत hardly it will cross. So this is a photograph showing torsion in the intestine. Okay. Next is volvulus. Volvulus. Volvulus is the twisting of the bowel on itself as occurs when it passes through a tear in a mesentery. इसको आप ऐसे समझो बड़ा सिंपल तरीके से. अभी मैं क्या कर रहा था कि एक बड़ा सा रस्सी लीजिए, उसको दोनों तरफ से ऐसे ट्विस्ट कीजिए, तो डेट विल बी टॉर्सन. अभी क्या करना है, उस रस्सी को आपको ट्विस्ट नहीं करना है, उस रस्सी को गांठ लगाना है. जैसे फांसी वासी के फंदे की तरह होता है ना, गोल सा गांठ बन जाएगा, एक नॉट बन जाएगा. इस तरह से गोल होगा और नीचे पे ऐसा नॉट बन जाएगा. इस तरह का जब ट्विस्टिंग होते हैं, मतलब अपने एक्सिस पे नहीं होते, वो इस तरह से ट्विस्ट होते हैं. ठीक है, इस तरह से ट्विस्ट हो जाते हैं. तो कब होते हैं? By any means, if the intestine, there is some rupture in the mesentery, the intestine enters inside the mesentery and get twisted. Is it clear? Volvulus समझ रहे हो? Volvulus को देखने के लिए ये देखिए diagram. You can see in this diagram, this is not the twisting on its own axis, but it is this intestine has pierced through the mesentery and has formed a knot-like structure. This is called as usually volvulus. So there is difference between the torsion and the volvulus. Torsion is, just a minute. Torsion आपको अगर क्लियर नहीं है तो देखो, if you can see torsion क्या है, say for example this is intestine, and in case of torsion it will get twisted like this. Okay, वो अपने में ऐसे ट्विस्ट हो जाएगा. इसमें थोड़ा अलग है कंडीशन. यहाँ पे मेजेंट्री क्रॉस करके it will get into a knot like structure. So naturally at the point of knot, the movement of the feed material will get obliterated. So this is what volvulus means. Okay. So what can lead to volvulus? Naturally, it occurs due to violent movements. It is also very common in horses, since the horses have the habit to roll and struggle in the uh, soil ground. And also the abdominal pain, that is colic, is very common in horses. So in that condition also, the horses show violent struggling and rolling in the ground. Due to some severe irritant, which may lead to violent peristaltic movement. Some foreign bodies, like a stone formation, severe accumulation of gas, this can be the cause of volvulus. So the affected portion naturally will be dark. Why? Due to congestion of the blood vessels along with the free flow of feed, which is getting obliterated. Also the flow of the blood will also checked. This will lead to congestion and finally darkening in the color. The wall is very easily torn due to weakening of the musculature, and in some cases due to rupture or even percolation of the feed materials, watery content of the feed materials in the peritoneum will lead to peritonitis. So I think volvulus is clear now. Torsion is very clear. Volvulus is also clear. In this diagram, you can see this is the mesentery, this is the mesentery, and the intestine portion has come this way, this way, this way, and finally ruptured and formed a knot. A knot like a structure has formed, and now again it has become normal. So if you see the color, this is this color, and if you see this color, you can see a sharp demarcation. It is highly congested, dark in color, and this is light, normal color. So this area, since blood vessels is also being obliterated, it will lead to congestion and darkening of the area. So this was all about the volvulus. So now we'll move to intussusception. Intussusception. So if you remember, the diameter of a small intestine is less than the diameter of large intestine. Okay. So if due to any cause there is violent peristaltic movement, the part of the small intestine being less in diameter can introduce inside the lumen of the large intestine. This is also called as telescoping. So a portion of the small intestine, particularly a portion of the small intestine, may get telescoped inside the large intestine or even the anterior part of the small intestine into the posterior part of the small intestine. So this is called as interception. Is it clear? What I am saying you, the small lumen, the small diameter of the anterior part of the small intestine have the chance to get introduced inside the larger diameter lumen of the posterior part of the small intestine or the large intestine. The part of a small intestine may get inside the large intestine, or the duodenum may get inside the jejunum, or the jejunum ileum may get inside the jejunum. So anterior part of the small intestine may get introduced in the posterior part, or the small intestine may get introduced in the large intestine. This case is called as telescoping or intussusception. Okay. So regarding pathogenesis, when the part of the intestine will get insuscepted inside the uh, anterior part, along with the intestine, some part of the mesentery also get telescoped, and so there is compression of the blood vessels leading to local congestion. Naturally, the affected part will be dark red, blue, and swollen. And if it is not treated with time, it will lead to ganglion formation, necrosis, ganglion formation, peritonitis, and finally, even it can lead to formation of fibrosis, scar formation, and even death. So, if you see this diagram, this is the part of intestine has entered inside the anterior part of the intestine has entered inside the posterior part of the intestine. So if you see, this is dark, highly dark in color, and this is the normal part. And the illustrative photograph in this photograph, you can see a proximal part of the intestine has introduced inside the distal part of the intestine because its diameter is smaller than this part of the intestine. You can see here large diameter, not because it is normal, but because due to interception, this part has uh, become dilated with time due to accumulation of feed and the gases. So this is dilatation. This is a sequel of interception. Normal lumen of proximal part will be like this, and the distal part will be like this. So since the lumen is the diameter of lumen is less of proximal part, it has the chance to get into inside the distal part. This is called as intussusception. Okay, it is very common even in human. You can see this case, intussusception of intestine. Next is incarceration. Incarceration is nothing. It is a trapping of intestine internally from the pressure on its external surface. What does it mean? Say for example, there is some hernia of intestine. There is, say for example, it is abdominal hernia or ventral hernia, which you call. So in case of abdominal hernia, the intestine get trapped inside the some rupture of the muscles, abdominal muscles. So if your intestine is getting herniated in between the abdominal muscles, naturally the muscles will put pressure on the intestine. So any pressure from the external surface, if the intestine is getting, the flow of the feed will also get obliterated, and this is what we call as incarceration. Usually, it is seen in case of hernia. If there is abdominal hernia, inguinal hernia, a diaphragmatic hernia, where the intestine gets inside the thoracic cavity or in the abdominal muscles or in the inguinal canal, it will get some external pressure, and that will lead to that is called as incarceration. Okay, so the sequel and the pathogenesis will be almost same as with the torsion, volvulus, or intussusception. So we have read four uh, displacement up to right now: torsion, volvulus, intussusception. These three is most important from pathology point of view. Other this incarceration is slightly less important than first three, and next is the prolapse. Prolapse. So as I was talking you in the last class, there is some difference between the prolapse and the hernia. So in prolapse, actually it is the protrusion of some part of the intestine, say for example rectum, through the natural opening, that is the anus. If the part of rectum get protruded outside the anus, it is called as prolapse of rectum. Remember, in this case, the organ that is protruded will not be covered with any sac-like structure. We can see the real picture of that rectum, not covered with some peritoneum or other sac. So this is called as prolapse, not hernia. Okay. So naturally prolapse occur due to some weakness, atony of the muscles due to some calcium deficiency, and uh, if there is atony of the muscles, and at the same time there is violent straining, irritation, very persistent diarrhea, constipation, it can even lead to collapse of the rectum, usually seen in the old age due to atony of the muscles. So the changes will be the almost similar as with the other mechanical obstruction. There will be the local congestion, there will be the edematous changes, nephrotic changes, and gangrenous changes. So with time, the prolapsed part get dilated, and it will cause more problem in managing. So it is necessary to manage the prolapsed part as early as possible, since with time it will get dilated and it will not be possible to restore the part inside the abdomen. Uh, so if it is not attended early, the prolapsed rectum may get injured, may get ruptured. So this can be one of the consequences. Okay. Sometime after death, prolapse is very common finding after death. That is postmortem prolapse. And what I am talking in, it is antemortem prolapse. So you can easily differentiate between antemortem prolapse and postmortem prolapse. In postmortem prolapse, this cross pathology, that is the local congestion, will be absent. There will be no hyperemia, there will be no edematous changes. So it will be absent in case of postmortem prolapse. Any inflammatory condition will not be seen in postmortem prolapse. it will always be seen in the antemortem prolapse. So in this diagram, if you can see, this is the rectum. Okay, this is the rectum, and this canal is called as the inguinal canal. Okay, so this rectum is not supposed to come inside the inguinal canal, but if due to any reason the rectum comes inside the inguinal canal, it is a protrusion. It is a hernia. It is a prolapse of the rectum. Okay, this diagram is from human, but a well illustration about the prolapse or even hernia also. Next is the hernia. So hernia is protrusion of the abdominal viscera through a natural or artificial opening. So the opening may be natural or even artificial. So in case of animals, due to aggression, intraspecific or interspecific fighting, sometimes the abdomens are ruptured by their horns or some other defending materials. So that will be the artificial opening, and the natural opening, as I've told you, it can be the inguinal canal. So from any natural or artificial opening, if the part of the abdominal organs, visceral organs, comes in that opening along with the sac. So there is slight difference between the hernia and this prolapse. So if you see, hernia always consists of a hernial sac. This sac is formed by the peritoneum and the skin. Hernia is always characterized by the presence of hernial ring and the hernial content. So in hernia, particularly in the external hernia, you will see a bag-like structure. The wall of the bag is formed by the peritoneum or the skin, and one end from the where the viscera has coming into that bag, there is the formation of a ring-like structure, and inside this bag there is the contents of intestine or any other material. So that is the property of hernia. These things you will not see in the, these all three things you will not see in the prolapse. There you can see the prolapse contents, but you will not see the prolapse sac, you will not see the prolapse ring. So what makes a difference between the external hernia and the prolapse is the presence of hernial sac that is formed by the peritoneum or the skin and the peritoneal ring. So if it is present, it is a hernia. If it is not present, it is a prolapse. Okay. More detail you will get out later on in case of in when you will reach the clinical subject, particularly in surgery. Okay. So hernia is very common in pigs and horses. So what can lead to hernia? So the umbilicus, if it is not healed in the newborn, it can be a natural opening for herniation of intestinal parts. Inguinal canal, very common in males, naturally it in males. Some tear in the abdominal muscles, some violent straining during parturition or defecation due to constipation, particularly in the old days also. So due to violent straining, some fighting between the animals leading to trauma, the inguinal, the umbilicus, rupture of the diaphragm, these can all lead to hernia. And the hernia are further classified on the basis of location, which may be external or internal, and also on the basis of organ. So we'll talk one by one. So first of all, it is the and another classification of hernia is reducible hernia or irreducible hernia. So if the hernial content of that sac can be reduced by itself without any surgical means, it is called as hernia. So for example, in a inguinal hernia, if the part of intestine has come inside the inguinal canal and the person is uh, standing upright down, so naturally due to gravity, the part of the intestine will reduce to its normal position. So if it is possible, it is called as reducible hernia. But with time, it may get adhesed. There can be adhesion between the wall of the intestine with the inguinal canal. So it cannot be reduced. So in that case, it is called as reducible hernia, irreducible hernia. So if the hernial contents can be returned into the abdominal cavity by itself without any surgical means, it is called as reducible hernia. And if the hernial contents cannot be returned by itself, it is called as irreducible hernia. The cause of irreducible hernia is severe dilatation of that part, adhesion of that part with the surrounding area that will lead to irreducible hernia. So adhesions, accumulation of ingesta, severe edema due to congestion. Okay, if the hernia does not have a parietal peritoneal covering of viscous, it is called a false hernia. Say for example, a animal has pierced the abdomen of other animal by his horn, and all the visceral organs can come outside of the abdominal cavity through that abnormal opening created by the trauma caused by the horn. So that is not a hernia. It appears to be hernia, but that is not a hernia. Therefore, it is called as false hernia, and scientifically it is called as eventration. It is neither a prolapse, neither a hernia. It is eventration. Remember? So, if you see a hernia like a structure without any hernial sac, it means it is eventration. Okay. So, uh, talking to the types of the hernia, first was the external hernia. As I told you, it is characterized by the presence of hernial sac, hernial rings, and hernial contents. So, if you see in this diagram, this is the abdomen. This is the abdomen. Upper part is the skin. Below the skin is the abdominal wall. Below the abdominal muscles is the visceral organs, the intestine. So if there is weakening in the abdominal muscles, if there is some weakening in the wall of the abdominal muscles, naturally due to peristaltic movement, the intestine try to get some space there. So initially it will try to get inside that weakened area, and with time it will almost get trapped, forming a outpouch like a structure in the abdomen. The intestine part has been get trapped inside this outpouch formed in the abdominal muscle in the abdomen. This is called as hernia. And if this part can be reduced only by sleeping due to gravity, when the animal or this human is sleeping due to gravity, the intestine part gets inside to its normal position. It will be called as reducible hernia. But with time, when there will be congestion, dilatation, adhesion, it will not get reduced. So that will be called as irreducible hernia. This is an example of abdominal hernia or ventral hernia in case of animals. So types of external hernia, one is the ventral hernia. So in ventral hernia, that this diagram is of ventral hernia. The in ventral hernia, when the abdominal muscles get weakened or ruptured, the part of the intestine get trapped inside that area. This is called as ventral or abdominal hernia. Next is the umbilical hernia. Naturally, it will be seen in newborn. The umbilical, when the ball passes through a congenital or acquired defect of umbilicus. So it will be seen in a newborn. Next is inguinal. Naturally, it will be seen in the male. So from the inguinal canal. So in inguinal hernia, as I was telling you, it is only seen in males. It is a normal canal from, if you have idea, from the inguinal canal passes the reproductive organ in the male, particularly this vas deferens, uh, this urethra. uh, So in this inguinal canal, if the part of intestine is getting trapped, it is called as inguinal hernia, very common in humans. Next is the scrotal hernia. So if the part of the intestine is limited to the inguinal canal, it is called as inguinal hernia. But after time, it can may descend from the inguinal canal up to the scrotum. Then this condition is called as scrotal hernia. So inguinal canal may proceed later to scrotal hernia if it is not being treated in time. Next is the femoral hernia. So develops when the momentum and the intestine passes through the triangle. The femoral triangle is a natural structure inside the body, and if in this triangle the intestine get attached, it is called as femoral hernia. Next is perineal hernia. So in the perineum area, if the part of the intestine get trapped, it is called as perineal hernia. And next is strangulated hernia. So if this strangulated hernia can be any type of hernia, it can be inguinal, it can be scrotal, it can be ventral hernia. Any hernia can be strangulated hernia if the ring, the hernial ring, is very narrowed due to some pressure.